You're watching a very special edition of In Retail Conversation, all about the Amazon and Whole Foods acquisition. And I'm now joined in the studio here in London by Malcolm Pinkerton, who is the Vice President for Insights for Kantar Retail. Malcolm, thanks very much indeed. Let's look at it from a European perspective. Whole Foods is pretty non-existent from a European perspective, but they do have a number of stores here in the UK. Why should European retailers care about this?
I think you're right. When you first initially look at it, the number of 9 stores is very insignificant in terms of the impact it's going to have. But when you actually start to consider where those stores are located, the majority of which are in affluent areas of London, that's when the impact starts to get more significant. And that's really because that's the Amazon Fresh heartland. And those more affluent consumers or shoppers are more likely to be shopping at Whole Foods, and that's where it's going to start to change the behaviour and change the mindset. But more importantly, that's going to have a bit more of a ripple effect. Whole Foods are already selling on Amazon Fresh, and they support that. So what we're going to start to see is a bit more of a shift, maybe initially for some of the artisan delicatessens, but then it's going to start impacting more categories and more retailers, particularly the likes of Morrison's, who are already selling through the Fresh platform.
Now, what do you see as the strategic message that this signal sends to European retailers?
I think it's very key to know that grocery is one of the key cornerstones of Amazon's strategy, along with fashion.
So and really, why is that? What is the significance about grocery?
Well, grocery for them, they recognise that they really want to be a fully consumables business. They want to be a everything, everywhere business. Then cracking grocery, along with cracking fashion and cracking beauty, are the 3 absolute keys imperatives to do that. So what they've done now with cementing or securing that fresh credential or that grocery credential is something going a long, long way to make them Amazon top of mind or Amazon first of mind for grocery. It's just as much as it is for all the other consumables that we buy with them. So it really is a stake in the ground and a statement of intent. I think that's really where we're going to start seeing this is a bit more of a springboard for them to roll out Fresh more aggressively in other markets. So we've seen Fresh launch recently in Germany, in Berlin in a year, and that's a far more immature grocery market when it comes to online compared to the UK. So there's a huge opportunity to roll it out in other less mature e-grocery markets.
Now, on the other side of the fence, if you're a traditional retailer, maybe playing a little around with e-commerce at the moment, what should you now start to do differently this week that maybe you weren't doing 3-4 weeks ago, apart from worrying?
Yeah, worrying. I think there's a certain, numerous lists of things keeping CEOs up at night, and I think Amazon is always at the top of or near the top of that list. And I think now the more aggressive they are, and the more they're after more and more greater share of the consumer wallet, and they have got the financial clout, as we know, to do just that. So they're starting to eat into more and more categories, and you don't think it's going to happen to your category until it does. So I think retailers in particular need to start thinking more, not how they can necessarily compete with Amazon, but how they can differentiate, how they can use their stores to their advantage to solve the final mile through click and collect, or make more experiential experiences and leverage new touch points and leverage that store. And for brands, it really is another wake-up call that Amazon is a friend or a foe. Initially, probably a friend, but they are a very essential route to market.
And how is that frenemy sort of relationship going to play out between the brand owner and Amazon in Europe?
I think when you start to sort of look at Europe and then beyond in other key markets for them, such as India or even China or Japan, as they look to roll out the different platforms, I think what they have to recognise is that the brands have a certain amount of strength and something more than they have done in the past, particularly when they're starting to support Amazon with their new platforms. And that's not just Fresh, that goes into Pantry and Subscribe and Save. So it's understanding for the brands how to leverage the entire Amazon ecosystem more efficiently, but also recognise that Amazon will need their support and their presence on these new platforms as they look to strengthen those grocery and beauty credentials.
Well, Malcolm Pinkerton, Vice President for Market Insights, Kantar Retail, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.